Hey everyone, Cynthia the Sparkle Freak. I guess I'm feeling a little bit dragonish today. I'm wearing my Game of Thrones hoodie, and it's like 75 degrees out, but I really just wanted to wear the stinking hoodie. I didn't care how hot I was going to be. So I'm going to be showing you guys how I'm going to prep a cup and get it ready to do some dragon scales. I am using a Modern Curve 30 ounce Hog brand stainless steel tumbler. I am going to seal this edge here with electric tape after I sand it and wash it off. I haven't done that part yet, and I'm honestly going to just pause the video and do that so you guys don't have to sit there and watch me sand, because let me get my little sandy thingy. This, which usually they're used for like sanding wall, preparing for painting or whatever. I just use these little sponge sand blocks, and I use that to prep the cup. So I'm going to sand it down, wash it off, dry it off, and then I'm going to come back and put the electrical tape on it, and then I'm going to spray paint it black, and then pause and wait for that to dry and go again. Alright, so I don't always tape off the edges of my cups, but for this one I kind of want that silver to show at the end, and I don't want the black spray paint going all the way up to the top. I use a pool noodle that I cut flat on one edge and then just cut the other ends kind of at a diagonal, and I use that to hold my cups. I see people making all kinds of fancy smancy things to hold their cups flat. Mine is cheap and simple. What I really like about electrical tape is the flexibility. You can pull it back and relay it until you have it perfectly straight. I'm doing this at about the halfway part of the tape, so half of it's going to fold inside. My kids keep walking off with my scissors. And then I'm just going to flop that through underneath. And I'm honestly only doing that just to paint it. I'm going to pull that right back off after the paint is dry. So, and I've already noticed right here, see how it's a little bit skinny there compared to what it is over here, so I'm going to not make you guys watch that, and I'm going to sit there and adjust it a little bit. Actually, it'll probably be just as fast for me to just go ahead and let you watch it. Because it really is simple as lifting it up, eyeballing it, and going back down. It doesn't really have to be perfect, honestly, because the dragon scales are going to go up to the edge of it anyways, so you won't even be able to see that it's not matching. But I have slight perfectionist problems, so I had to fix it. Alright, now that I've done this, I'm going to pop it onto one of my doodads like this. This is one that I've already had on the turner, and it's not all the way drying yet. So I stick it on, I leave it on the same thing that I have it on the turner with, and then I just, again, I cut these pool noodles so that this fits in the center of it, and then it stands up straight, and that's how I let my, so instead of having a big old fancy drying rack, I just do that. Oops, sorry. I bounced the camera with the thing. So I'm going to go outside and spray paint this, and I'm not going to have you guys watch me spray paint because I think you guys can figure that out on your own. Alright, I've got this spray paint on, and you can see I've put this on one of these little doodads. And I forgot to tell you earlier that I normally actually don't spray paint my dragon scale cups because the scales themselves is what's going to be colored. But I forgot to let you know that I'm doing something different with this. The entire cup is not going to be scales. What I plan on doing is taking rhinestones and creating a barrier that's kind of going to look like, I guess a zipper is what I'll call it. So it's going to look like it's a closed zipper at the bottom and then open up at the top, so it's going to be look like you're looking at the inside of a shirt, and then the outside is a jacket, and the jacket will be the dragon scales. And then the inside, I'm planning on using dragon eyeballs. So it's going to look like the dragon eye is looking at you through the shirt that's underneath it, the jacket type of thing. So that is why I wanted to paint this black. And simple football thing. What I'm going to do with this is I'm going to do the rhinestones in a line here and then up that way. And I think I'm going to actually make my barrier with the rhinestones, then do the dragon scales after that. Actually, I don't think I'm going to put the actual stones on themselves. See, I haven't even figured this all out. But I do have to make the barrier through here as if I'm putting the rhinestones on it, so my dragon scales have a place to go and have alignment. But the reason I don't want to put my stones on yet, and I thought about that as I was talking, is I'm going to be using my chameleon micas, and when I put my micas on there, I don't want the color of the mica to cover over top of the rhinestones, and I want the rhinestones to actually stand out with their own color. So I'm going to do my dragon scales, epoxy the cup, put rhinestones on, and put my eye on, and then epoxy the cup again. And then probably do a couple more coats of epoxy depending on what it looks like at that point. So that's nice and confusing. I'm going to figure out how I'm going to tape this off. So like I said, I've never done this before. This is just something out of my top of my head. I think well, it's not really off the top of my head. I saw somebody do something similar, and so I wanted to duplicate it myself. I have not watched a tutorial, so I'm making this up as I go. Alright, so I figured out what I am going to do. So you can see the black electrical tape. I basically put it in the shape that I'm going to have the zipper that I'm doing in rhinestones. And then this is the eye that I have chosen. I'm going to put here in this spot, and this is a water slide paper. So I'm going to wind up having that right there in the center of that, so it's like the eye is coming looking at you. My plan with this is to use, where did my blue go? This blue glow powder in this spot underneath of where this eye is going to be, so that it will cause this to glow in the dark. We'll see how that goes. And what I'm going to actually do to also prevent my rhinestones from having funky colors on them, and I think this is the color rhinestone that I'm going to wind up using. It's a green rhinestone that has a little bit of a blue with it, so it has similar colors to it as the eyeball does. So my hope is that it will kind of complement that and make the color in the eye pop some more, or the other way around. So I'm going to start laying dragon scales first, which is super easy. All I'm going to use is my Mod Podge, which I am going to reuse this one that's already had Mod Podge in it and it's completely dry. And you see there's colors in it. It's because I had micas mixed in with my Mod Podge for another project. But I am all about reusing my stuff over and over again instead of throwing things away. Just like whenever I do fabric tumblers, I actually add water to my Mod Podge to thin it out, so I use less Mod Podge because fabric cups really do take a lot of glue. You have to do so many layers, and when you use the water in it, it actually helps it absorb through the fabric better. Instead of laying just on top of it, it actually goes into the fabric. I don't really like this paintbrush that I had. I'm going to choose this one. So, super simple. I start from the bottom and work my way up. And with this, I'm planning on overlapping this just a little bit, and what I'm going to wind up doing is cutting that part off so that way my rhinestones lie flat where the electric tape is. The one problem with this is everything is black, so it's going to be hard to see. But, okay, my dragon scales are smooth on one side and textured on the other side. This just happens to be the kind of paper that I bought, but I glue on the smooth side and I like the textured side to show through. I like my dragon scales to start flush with the bottom of the cup. And I'm putting one on either side of this electrical tape with just, so you'll still be able to see the electrical tape, and so they're just going to touch at the tip there. Now I'm doing it that way on purpose because I want to be able to see that electrical tape, and the alignment might not wind up being perfect over on this side when it goes around, but I don't really care. That's the one good thing with dragon scales, is nothing has to be perfect. Nobody's really going to notice those imperfections, and then if they do notice the imperfection, guess what? We are not created perfectly. Dragon scales are not necessarily perfectly placed on a dragon. They overlap and shift and turn as the dragon moves, in my imaginary land anyway. So, if your scales aren't aligned exactly perfect, who cares? Alright, I'm starting to slowly overlap the dragon scales. I'll lift the cup up here in a second so you can see what I'm doing a little bit better. Alright, so where I have the tape, they're just touching at the tip. This one I have the same setup, and then this one I have it overlapped just a little bit, and then this is a little bit more, and then I'm going to go just a little bit more on that one, and then I'm going to keep them all at that spacing for the rest of the way around. I'm actually going to start doing it from this side so it's kind of even. I know I just said it's not perfect, and it's okay, it's not a big deal. That's more so you guys aren't freaking out. I just have a system and ways I need to do things, and I have to have balance, because I'm weird like that. I like patterns, and I feel like doing it this way is giving me a pattern. So you see how super easy placing the dragon scales is. Literally painting a layer of glue onto the paper. Putting it onto the cup and holding it for a few seconds. Alright, I'm going to pause the video so you're not watching me do the entire row and being bored, and this being a hella long video, and then I'll show you the next row so that way you can see how I'm bricklaying. Alright, we have the whole first layer done, and this is the zipper side, so I'm starting at the very last one I left off, which happens to space out to be the exact same way where I started, where it wasn't overlapping at all. But when I bricklay, I put it down so that it covers the entire bit of the cup itself, and it overlaps over the sides a little bit, which is why I wanted these to overlap a little bit to make it a smaller space, because I like when the bottom of the dragon scales are kind of flipped up a little bit and to add more texture to it. And I feel like the closer the scales are together, the more you get that effect. So I am just going to continue with that pattern. Now you notice that my paper isn't perfectly cut here and I have a little piece that's chunked, but it doesn't really matter because it's going to be covered by another scale. The only time you have to really worry about that is if you have it on the bottom where you're going to have that visible. Otherwise, not to worry. I was clipping all of that stuff off and then I realized, why am I doing all this extra work for nothing? Alright, I'm going to stop this video here because I think you pretty much can get the gist of how to do the scales and lay them out evenly. I'm going to go ahead and let you see my face. So, I'm going to continue on with this pattern, and then I'm going to actually stop this video, make this a part 1 of this version of the cup. And as you can have been told already, this is my very first time doing this version of a dragon scale cup, so I'm probably going to make some mistakes along the way, do something one way, change my mind, and just decide I'm going to do it a different way. So we're going to be doing this one kind of together, and you'll get to see me screw things up, which I think is a good thing because, well, guess what? Crafting is, it's about just figuring it out as you go and just trying stuff, honestly. So we're going to continue with this, and I will load this up as video 1 and then turn around and start on video 2 once I'm done with the scales and I get ready to trim those down. So I'll see you for next time.